With growing population and migration, cities have increasingly become homes to many people around the world. This trend of unplanned urbanization has created a huge burden for governments around the world. This is due to the collapse of public infrastructure such as housing, transport, and other social services that are required to support urban population. This has resulted in high levels of homelessness and the rise of informal settlements and slums. Today, an estimated 1.8 billion people around the world live under these conditions. In Nigeria, about 52% of the population, representing over 100 million people, live in our cities. A majority of this population, especially low-income earners, live in slums and informal settlements. These slums suffer from the lack of social amenities such as water, sanitation, and hygiene services, environmental pollution, as well as the high risk of spread of diseases due to overcrowding.
Almost always people on low income were disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. We also know that a lot of them suffered significant economic disadvantages. A number of them lost their homes and lost their jobs. So there was a disproportion in terms of the impact of the pandemic, depending on what part of the city you lived and how much you earned.
The COVID-19 pandemic highlights these issues, with cities and most informal settlements being the hotspots. The structural deficiencies of these settlements prevents their dwellers from complying with the preventative measures such as lockdowns, social distancing, and hand washing. This further underscores the role that adequate housing and urbanization play in the society.
COVID-19 has impacted the informal sector the more, mostly on those that are on daily pay. And like the government, like other governments around the world, have come up with a stimulus package to sustain jobs in the informal sector. And the housing sector has been identified as a critical sector to generate activities that will sustain the informal sector. Currently, as we speak, the government has commenced processes to begin the construction of 300,000 houses across Nigeria. And if that is concluded, I see that as contributing, towards addressing the housing deficit.
Besides providing a roof over the head, housing has a role in the development of human life, and the provision of adequate housing must be treated as a fundamental right. Although several government policies, programs, and interventions have been targeted at providing housing, especially for the low-income earners in the country, there is still a huge gap to address. One of these issues include affordability, which prevents many from owning or renting good homes.
Register as a cooperative, acquire land together, own land, design what you all want to own. Those who want to build 1 bedroom, those who want to build 2 bedroom, design it, get your building approval, apply to the Federal Mortgage Bank for a development loan. We commit to funding up to 80% of the cost of the building, and we also commit to providing the individual members of the cooperatives with a mortgage loan to then acquire their own house.
We have increased even access to mortgages for Nigerians, and we have reduced the equity for Nigerians to access these mortgages.
In response, the government has designed a program that is aimed at improving the economic conditions and activities in slum communities. And the program is essentially designed to regenerate, redevelop slum communities, and it would involve rebuilding anew, revitalizing rundown spaces to be able to create a vibrant space that is conducive for habitation and businesses.
The government realizes it cannot solve this challenge alone. It has begun innovative partnerships with the private sector in the areas of design in order to build sustainable homes within weeks, with financing to allow their owners to pay over many years.
We expect to see more automation and more technology in the way we build, because once we can standardize these designs that we have, and we are sure that people like them and can afford them, then it's easy to then build in a few weeks what it takes us to a whole year to do.
Some of the laws that are already in force, like the Land Use Act, needs to be reformed to make easy access for land by developers.
As Nigeria continues to take steps forward towards addressing the issues of housing and urban development for its citizens, the occasion of the World Habitat Day serves as a reminder to every one of us that housing is a human right and a catalyst for all other fundamental rights.
We need to reinforce the right of every Nigerian to a decent home that they can afford.
Housing for all, a better urban future.
Housing for all, a better urban future.
Housing for all, a better urban future.